I'm in Glendale and found love in the South Bay. Yes, I find myself in an LA long distance thing. Guess who helped make it work? AT&T. I bought one phone, got another one on them, and romance is alive on the 101.
Come into an AT&T store, buy a smartphone, and get one on us. More for your thing. That's our thing. Limited time in areas. Select devices. Each requires up to $900 on installment agreement. Requires one new line and minimum $75 per month service. Free after credits over 30 months starting within 3 bills. If cancel service, device balance is due. $30 activation, additional fees, taxes, and restrictions apply. See your local AT&T store for details.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. How are you doing? I hope you are doing well. I'm doing great. I've got my tea here. I'm relaxed, and even, you know how excited I get. We've got a great guest, and, of course, I always say that, but you know what? This time, like other times, but especially this time, it's true. So I'm glad that you're here with us. And as we usually do, we are bringing you some of the leaders, legends, and trailblazers in Harlem and around Harlem. I'm glad you're here with us, but make sure you stay connected with us at twitter.com/HWMag. Also on Facebook, at facebook.com/Harlem World Magazine, and, of course, on the website at harlemworldmagazine.com. And believe it or not, we're celebrating our 15th year creating wonderful content about the place that we love, Harlem. And wherever you may be, whether it's outside the U.S. or in the U.S. or right here in Harlem, we're glad that you're here with us. And, you know, we're going to flip the script a little bit. Usually we talk about what's going on and what's trending on the website. Because time is of the essence, we're going to get right into our guest that we have today, which is Voza Rivers. And Voza Rivers was born in Harlem, New York. He is executive producer and founding member of the New Heritage Theater Group and executive producer and co-founder of Impact Repertory Theater, the Oscar-nominated youth division of New Heritage Theater Group, led by U.S. director, activist, and educator Jamal Joseph. Rivers has produced and co-produced theater, music, and television projects, film festivals, music tributes in the United States, Japan, around the world, as some of you may already know, including Tony and Grammy-nominated South African play Serafina. Films produced by Voza Rivers include A Like, 2003, Lifted, 2007, The Savoy King, Chick Webb, and The Music That Changed America, great flick, 2012. Mr. Rivers is also a music producer and has produced music events and concerts featuring world-renowned artists in the United States and around the world again. And some of those artists, I'm going to take a deep, deep breath because there's tons of them. Nancy Wilson, Nina Simone, Ruby Dee, Luther Vandross. You know, you're going to have to check this out on the web because we're going to post them with all the names there so that you can look at the long, incredible list. He is also the first vice president of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce and the first vice chairman of Harlem Week that started in 1974. Voza Rivers is internationally known as a theater producer and has additional responsibility as executive producer for entertainment and cultural activities for Harlem Week, and also oversees special presentations and events for the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce. And I don't know how one man does so much work. Hello, Mr. Rivers. How are you doing?
Danny, how are you? And to the listening audience, it's my pleasure to share some of our upcoming activities with you.
Well, and we are really looking forward to it, and I really thank you for being on the show. So I'm just curious to really get right into it because I know we want to talk a little bit about Harlem Havana that this week, but how did the idea for Harlem Week come up? Was that your idea?
Well, No, not at all. It was the Honorable Percy E. Sutton at that time, who was the borough president of Manhattan. Lloyd Williams, myself, and a number of others all living in Harlem during the 1970s, in particular, at the height of a lot of dislocation, disrepair, drug epidemic, New York under financial oversight by the federal government. It was a low point for New York, and it was worse in Harlem. And for those of us who started seeing all of our neighbors leaving Harlem and going elsewhere to live, it was suggested that for us who decided to stay the course, no matter what, there could be a brighter day. With the encouragement of Percy Sutton, we created a one-day event in August of 1974 called Harlem Day to bring the homeowners, the residents, out of their homes into the streets to celebrate our culture and heritage. And that was what we did on Harlem Day. In addition, we did one momentous activity, which was a ribbon cutting at 138th Street in 7th Avenue, renaming 7th Avenue Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard, the first time in the history of New York City that a street was renamed after a person of color.
Wow. What an incredible story. And, what I always love is, I can tell the passion that you have in your voice. And some people might say after so many years, wow, that passion is still there. And I want to get into that a little bit. But I wanted to ask you, I've been on the West Coast back in the day, and similar but not the same challenging history. And, there isn't a Los Angeles week. I don't know of a Houston week, and especially, if there is a Houston week and I don't know about it, it's not the success that Harlem Week has. What is the secret sauce to Harlem Week's success?
Well, again, the environment started getting better. People became more positive by just coming out and seeing the arts and culture displayed in all of its brilliance on a whole day of activities. And so then we were asked to repeat it again the second, third, fourth year, which we did. And little by little, other areas of interest started presenting itself. One, we decided, there is a fashion museum in Harlem. Maybe we should add a fashion component to what we're doing, and we can do it on another day. And then it became the opportunity to deal with seniors and then children, and we knew that we couldn't do all of that in a one-day period. So through that initiative, we were able to expand it. So week after every year, a new activity was added to what we were doing. And lo and behold, before we knew it, we had gone to 1 month of activities. So only in Harlem, because everyone said, well, it was Harlem Day, and we came Harlem Week, and we said those two name changes is where we'll stop. We will continue the abundance of activities all during the month of August. However, we're not going to change the name. So Harlem Week is actually 1 month of activities, and during that month we do 111 plus events, and we are, we have a little cachet to it. Only in Harlem could a week be a month.
Well, you kind of preempting. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's part of the excitement of what we are doing and seeing the attention that we get from not only the people who live here. As environments change, we see new residents coming in, but the people who have been here, the young people who grow up here, knowing that they have a whole month to celebrate their arts, culture, and history, and the businesses, and the faith-based institutions. It's just something that fuels us to continue doing what we do.
And again, I know that our listeners, wherever they may be, it's, one thing for us to talk about it, and maybe they go on YouTube and see the videos. But it's nothing like, remember, folks, wherever you are, nothing like experiencing Harlem Week and feeling the vibe of the folks, eating the food. There is nothing like it. And Voza, I've been waiting to tell this terrible joke for a while.
Okay.
That I know you have heard of. And it's not telling a joke, but really ask you a question. When is Harlem Week name going to be changed to Harlem Month? Okay, I know you answered it already, but I had to ask it.
Right. It will not change. It will not change because it is always interesting to find people who are saying, how many days is Harlem Week? And we says, oh, well, it now always kicks off the last Sunday in July and goes through the fourth Saturday in August. And what did you say? It's Harlem Week? I said, yeah, again, only in Harlem. And it's beautiful. I mean, it piques the interest. But when people see what we are doing, no way could we do it in one week. And
that's right.
It is the content that is so rich that we put on display during that period. It actually could be a year.
That's
but
right.
We have, we put a limitation on what our human
just a little. Right.
But there is so much, especially in our community, and we are very fortunate. We inherited quite a legacy. People consider Harlem the cultural capital of Black America. I can say Black and Latin America now because of the people who come from the Spanish-speaking countries and the African-speaking countries that are all here now, and it's just great. It's great to hear their stories on why they decided to live in Harlem, what they heard of it, and how they are now participating in our cultural enrichment.
That's an excellent point, and I had not included that in my questions, and I'm going to freestyle a little bit here. With the changing demographic of the population, has that changed Harlem Week in any way? I'm just curious.
Yes, so what we did, and this is at the highest level, President Obama in 2016 decided to lift the travel embargo of people going to Cuba. Right. And with our congressman, we all went to Cuba to speak with the Minister of Culture and Tourism in Cuba to discuss having a relationship with Harlem. And fortunately, we were able to create the first post-Obama cultural initiative right after he lifted the embargo called Harlem Havana. Our goal was to do a yearly cultural exchange where we could bring in artists from Cuba. The artists the first year we brought in were 35 from Cuba, and they were chefs, fashion designers, musicians, dancers, choreographers, and visual artists. And we showcased them all throughout Harlem, but we also had the chefs cooking in the black and restaurants. That mix was really very, very rich and exciting. And then we were planning on going to Cuba this year with the American contingent of Harlem going to Havana, but with all of the changes at the highest level of our government, it was decided that we will continue the Harlem Havana component, but give it another year before we all depart from New York and from Harlem going to Cuba.
I see.
So we're very, very excited because this year, very shortly, and a few days from now, we kick off our Harlem Havana festival. It sits right in the middle of Harlem Week.
Fabulous. And for those who may not know, Harlem Week we're in the first week of Harlem Week in its programming?
Yes, and on Sunday, the 29th of July, that just passed, our first public event attracted in excess of 30,000 people to an all-day festival of music, food, and entertainment at the highest level. And again, it was just a magnificent day. The weather was really a great opportunity to come out and just relax, and that's what everyone did. And we're looking forward to the next few days where we are doing the Cuban component on Saturday, August the 4th, at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine, the largest Gothic cathedral in the world, right here in Harlem on 112th Street in Amsterdam, where we will be presenting an Afro-Cuban dance company from Santiago, Cuba, and a Cuban band, Afro-Cuban band. And all of our events are free, complimentary, and that's the beauty of what we do.
Important, that's right. Well, and it doesn't get any better than that when you can have the best quality entertainment in the area, and it is free to the public. And people wonder why I bleed Harlem, and that's why, because of all the things that we're talking about. And I just want to take a quick break and let our listeners know that they're listening to the Danny Tisdale Show. And, of course, I'm Danny Tisdale, and it's on Harlem World Radio. Again, folks, I hope you are doing well. We are talking to Voza Rivers and talking about Harlem Week and all the things that are going on. And Harlem, Havana has just kicking in, and we're talking about that. And, Voza, I wanted to switch a little bit and talk a little bit about the man behind the work that's being done at Harlem Week, and ask you a little bit about your arts background. Where does your art skills come from? Was it from family members or from school, your love for the arts? Where does that come from?
Back door, Danny, back door. I, in the 60s and 70s, especially in the 60s, you know, after the assassination of King and then Malcolm, it created a sense of urgency within me to prepare myself to articulate how I felt about what was going on. And I wanted to do something very private. So I went and registered for a public speaking course at a satellite branch of the YWCA that was in Harlem. So the first day of the class, there's a guest speaker named Roger Furman. Roger Furman talked so passionately about when he was in his 20s and he was in Harlem. He had come from New Jersey, and he had went to a library on 135th Street called the 135th Street Library. Today it's known as the Schomburg. But he decided to join an acting class. And in that class was Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, Harry Belafonte, Portier, and the list goes on of names that we've recognized. And he said that it changed his life, and that he now, 24 years later, was going to start his own theater company right here in Harlem based on the same tenets of the American Negro Theater that was founded in 1940. And although I was not interested in theater or music or any of those areas, I wanted to volunteer to just work with him because I thought it was such a great idea.
Made an
and
impression,
through that relationship, well, first of all, I was very clear that I did not want to be on the stage. I only came to the speaking class for one reason, and that was to be more confident in what I had to say about what was going on. He exposed me, Danny, to so many things. First of all, I became the maintenance person for the theater. I became the box office person. I became the usher. He taught me how to paint
from
sets.
the bottom.
Focus lights, Danny. Be the prop person because he didn't have
That's
a car.
right.
I would drive him around to thrift shops and buy props, etc. And lo and behold, before I knew it, 5 or 6 years had gone by, and Roger said, Voza, listen, I would like you to handle all of the administrative and let me concentrate on the artistic. And I said yes. 1983, Roger died, and I was then asked by the board to take over the theater. Now, for the first 20 years, Danny, that I was in the theater, I was always behind the scenes. People didn't know who I was. People in theater didn't even know me.
Who's Voza Rivers, right?
But they knew Roger Furman because he came out of the American Negro Theater and Ozzy and Ruby.
Right.
These guys would our theater. So I was walking
Interesting.
in his shadow.
Wow.
When he died, I had to then create my own signature on what he had shared with me, and I reached out to South Africa to do it because of a relationship I had with Hugh Masekela, and it was at the height of apartheid. And through that relationship, I was educated verbally about what was happening in South Africa and how theater was addressing the issues of apartheid. And for those who were involved, if the government knew, they were thrown in jail, threatened with being killed and assassinated, but they continued to do theater without any kind of script. They told the story each other over and over and over, so that when the police came to close down a gathering, there was no information that was disparaging to the government. And it fascinated me, and I was given an opportunity to produce a play called a Sinamali, a Zulu word for we have no money. And I produced that play that was here in New York at a downtown theater, and the actors said, the two South African actors said, we've been here for 6 months, we've been recognized by your media, but no black people have come to see us. And I said, we're all uptown. And they said, well, why can't we go uptown? I said, well, you're here under production contract. There's certain limitations these producers have, a responsibility for you being here, because there was no reciprocity between America and South Africa during the height of apartheid. These actors said, man, you got to get us uptown. I brought them uptown, Danny, for 2 performances, and it changed my life. The show was so brilliant. I had never seen acting like that before. And the artists were captured on the front page of the weekend section of the New York Times. And the downtown people came uptown to see how could this be such a better show than it was when it was downtown for 6 months and won all those awards. The actors felt that they were in South Africa for a black audience. And those guys went back and wrote a second play, and they asked me to bring it into the United States. Sight unseen, I brought it in. A year later, Harry Belafonte took it to Broadway. They went back to write a third play, and that third play, which everyone knows, is called Sarafina. And they said, Voza, you have to represent us. Harlem is magic. And this is where we want to have a base, and we want you to be responsible for negotiating all of our activities in America and throughout the world.
That is,
and the rest is history.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's definitely historic, and I didn't know the backstory on that. And in essence, not just a story about apartheid, but it's a story that educated America and specifically Harlemites about what was happening in South Africa. That's pretty incredible, and it's a great segue for my next question, because obviously we post a lot of what you do and across the board at theater, Harlem Week, and wherever it may be. But I'm always curious, how do you kind of escape, and have some downtime, with your busy workload? Do you play golf or read, go to church, jog? How do you kind of, get a reset for yourself?
The reset actually comes in the work. Strange. It sounds strange, but it comes in the work. I have a beautiful wife, a beautiful family who have embraced my commitment to our community.
Wow.
And I'm having so much fun doing what I'm doing. And if you can hear from the tone of my voice, I'm a very relaxed person.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few things that shake me or jar me, and I think that God gave me that gift. I don't think that I'm doing more than I'm supposed to do. I believe that my capacity is a gift that God has given me to be a real multitasker. Sometimes I listen to myself as I'm explaining to others what I've done, and I'm amazed that I've been able to do as much as I've done, and there's much more to come. I can't even begin to now even discuss what has happened since we started reaching out to Cuba, and how I'm feeling again that it's a repeat of what happened in South Africa for me because of the work that I'm doing with Cuba. Danny, on Monday in Harlem, we're having the Harlem Havana Art exhibit. In the previous years, it was just art, Havana, Harlem art, and photography. But this year, coming Monday, we have 30 artists, painters, and photographers from Chile, Ecuador, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Mexico, and Haiti.
International, global.
All of a sudden, in 2 years, all of these artists started coming to me and saying, we want to be a part of Harlem Havana.
Right.
Because of the connection to Africa and the Afro-Latino. When we got these people from Ecuador talking about what happened, those ships that left Africa went to all of those countries, dropping off people.
The connection.
And so now, just to be in a position to have this kind of collaboration in the centerpiece of Harlem during Harlem Week is just another gift. And these are gifts that are given to me that I really appreciate, and thank God every day that I have the strength to do what I'm doing.
And we certainly appreciate that, and it speaks to both the power of your work and the power of the arts that kind of connection and relationship is happening. And Voza, we're already at the 2-minute mark, and I have I'm going to ask you the last two questions at the same time, and pass it on to you. We've got parents listening who have kids, and there's somebody out there whose mother or father knows they have a young Voza Rivers Jr. That they're raising. What advice would you have for, a parent who, wants their son or daughter to follow in your footsteps? What advice do you have? And the other question please share your contact information for our listeners.
The contact, why don't I hit that right away?
Okay.
So I don't have to rush. The contact information is New Heritage Theater Group, and the number is 212-926-2500 or 926-0104, 212-926-0104. The 104 deals with our youth component. Jamal Joseph is the executive artistic director. He is also the former chair of the graduate film program at Columbia University. And our youth program meets every Saturday at Columbia
Voza, we're
University.
down to the last 50 seconds. Hate to cut you off.
And it's a free program. So
Thank you.
You could call that number around the Impact program. And just all I can tell you is that, first of all, it's really just been a pleasure sharing information. You could go to I Love New York, Harlem Week website and see all of the activities that we're doing in Harlem.
Thank you, Voza. I appreciate it. You hit it right on the mark. And really looking forward to the Havana events coming up and, of course, Harlem Week. And thank you again, Voza Rivers, for being on the show. We loved having you here. Thank you very much. And I appreciate being and sharing with your listening audience. Thank you guys so much. Okay. Thanks, Voza. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening, folks. We love having you here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Oh, so much hair for a newborn. We need to start planning his baptism and his holiday outfit and, ooh, his birthday party.
Sure, but, how long are you planning to stay?
If you're one of those who goes to meet your newborn nephew and stays until his first birthday party, switch to Cricket Wireless. Use your phone as many days as you want in Mexico without extra cost. Smile. You're on Cricket. Requires eligible plan. Minimum $55 per month. Data speed usage and other restrictions apply. Coverage not available everywhere. See store for details.
Oh, so much hair for a newborn. We need to start planning his baptism and his holiday outfit and, ooh, his birthday party.
Sure, but, how long are you planning to stay?
If you're one of those who goes to meet your newborn nephew and stays until his first birthday party, switch to Cricket Wireless. Use your phone as many days as you want in Mexico without extra cost. Smile. You're on Cricket. Requires eligible plan. Minimum $55 per month. Data speed usage and other restrictions apply. Coverage not available everywhere. See store for details.